The silent fallout. You don't always see the damage you leave behind, not because you're cruel, not because you meant to hurt them, but because some wounds bleed inward. They never said it outright. They never asked you to stay, but the silence they gave you wasn't peace. It was grief dressed as quiet. Sign 1. Their energy changes the moment you enter the room. Watch closely. The eyes may not speak, but the soul reacts. They'll smile. They might even laugh. But their energy shifts just slightly, like the air thickens, like something inside them clenches. Their posture straightens or collapses. Their gaze lingers too long or avoids yours completely. They fidget. They freeze. They feel your presence before your shadow even touches the floor. Because when someone has buried you deep inside, your mere existence rattles something they've tried to forget. They may not speak a single word, but their body remembers, and it reacts like it's trying to protect what's left of them from you. Sign 2, they talk about you. Without saying your name, they'll say someone, or a person I used to know, or this thing that happened a while ago, but you'll know. You'll feel it. You are the ghost haunting their sentences. You're the shadow behind every vague anecdote, every almost story that ends in a quiet pause. They'll share something incomplete, then trail off like it hurt too much to finish. Because naming you makes it real. Naming you makes the pain feel fresh. So they keep you unspoken, not forgotten, just too sacred to summon. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." They think they moved on, but their words betray them. You live in the margins of their stories. Sign 3, they watch you, silently. They don't text you. They don't like your posts. They don't call, but they see everything. Every story, every update, every little piece of your life that you throw into the digital void. They're there watching quietly, and every view you don't notice is a heart that can't look away. Because even if they're trying to forget, they're also trying to remember. They're trying to see if you're hurting too, if you're healed, if you miss them, even just a little. But pride is louder than pain, so they'll never say a word, just silent scrolls at 2 a.m., searching for pieces of a life they once felt part of. They don't want to reach out. They just want to know that they weren't so easy to erase. You think they're fine because they don't say anything. But heartbreak isn't always loud. Sometimes it's invisible. And the ones who love the deepest often suffer the quietest. The body keeps the score. The mind can lie, but the body, it remembers. What they won't say, their habits confess. Because pain, the real kind, seeps into the routines. It rewires the nervous system. It changes how they move through the world. They won't tell you they're hurting, but the signs are there. Written in sleepless nights, empty stares, and silences that echo louder than screams. Sign 4, they don't sleep the same anymore. It's 2:47 a.m. Again, they've seen the ceiling more than their dreams lately. And when they do sleep, it's broken, shallow, haunted. Because you show up there, in fragments, in flashbacks, in unfinished conversations that feel too real. They wake up gasping, or not at all. They don't tell anyone why they look tired, why their eyes seem heavier than they should. But they carry you into every night and wake up with your shadow on their chest. The body keeps the score, and theirs is exhausted from trying to forget. Sign 5, they no longer talk about the future. Once you were part of every plan. Now, they stop mid-sentence. Avoid the topic. Say things like, "I'm just focusing on the present." Because planning means hoping. And hope for them was tied to you. It's not that they don't want a future, they just can't imagine one that doesn't ache. Carl Jung once wrote, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." They've stopped speaking that language, the one that dreamers use, because their dreams died quietly the day you left. Sign 6, they tried to replace you, quickly. The rebound, the new person, the sudden romance that bloomed overnight. But watch closely. It's not real, not really. It's a distraction wrapped in denial, a way to feel wanted, even if they're still wrecked. They laugh louder, post more, kiss faster. But it's all performative, because deep down, they're still comparing everyone to you. Every touch feels different. Every voice lacks the weight yours carried. They're chasing a feeling you once gave them, and hoping someone else will bring it back. But no one does, so they move fast, crash hard, and hurt deeper, because pretending they've moved on is easier than admitting they haven't. People say time heals everything, but time doesn't erase memories. It just teaches people how to carry them, quietly. And some carry you like a ghost, one they loved too much to let go, and too painfully to keep close. The mirror of regret. There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't mean peace. It means tension, suppressed emotion, words that died in the throat over and over again. They haven't forgotten you. They've just learned how to carry the ache more gracefully. But the truth, you're still in there. In the pauses, in the places where their voice shakes, in the parts of themselves they've stopped showing the world. Sign 7. They over-explain, or say almost nothing at all. Pain changes communication. It makes people doubt their own voice. They second-guess texts before they send them, or they don't send anything at all. They rehearse conversations in their heads that never actually happen. They overthink everything, because the last time they spoke freely, they lost someone. Sometimes they talk too much, like they're trying to fill the space your silence left behind. Other times, they retreat into a shell, because vulnerability now feels like danger. They're either too much or too little, because balance died the day you stopped choosing them. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." They're terrified of who they are without you, because for a moment they felt whole, and now the echo is deafening. Sign 8. Their creativity has changed. The music they listen to, the poems they write, the paintings, the playlists, the Instagram captions. It's all different now. There's a melancholy threaded through every word, a quiet sadness behind every song. Their joy feels muted, their light dimmed. You can feel it in what they create, or in what they've stopped creating altogether. Because when you were part of their inspiration, your absence becomes the silence in their work. They don't talk about it. They won't dedicate anything to you. But if you look closely, you're in every verse, every color, every broken melody. Sign 9. They avoid the places you once shared. The cafe, the bookstore, that street corner where you kissed in the rain. They take detours now. They make excuses. They say they're too busy, or just felt like staying in. But really, they can't bear to walk past the ghosts, because grief lives in geography. You aren't just a memory. You're a map they can't follow anymore. They avoid those places, not because they hate them, but because they love them too deeply. In some places, they carry the echo of your laughter, the taste of your goodbye, the smell of your absence. They tell their friends it's nothing, but their soul knows you're still standing on that sidewalk. In a moment they can't get back. They've trained themselves to pretend, to smile, to function, to move on. But healing isn't the same as forgetting, and they haven't forgotten. They still feel the loss in places they don't talk about, in the songs they skip, in the people they almost let in the moments when your memory comes back, uninvited but never unwelcome. The love that didn't die. There are some goodbyes you say out loud, and some you carry with you, forever unfinished, forever echoing. They're not holding on to you because they're weak. They're holding on because no one else has touched them in the same way. Not really, not completely. Sign 10, they keep reminders of you, even if hidden. A sweater folded in the back of a drawer, a note tucked in a book they never finished, a song that lives on their playlist, never skipped, never deleted. They say they've let go, but they haven't. They keep pieces of you like relics, not on display or no hidden quiet, tucked away where no one will find them. Because the world told them to move on, but their soul wasn't ready. It's not about obsession, it's reverence. You weren't just a person. You were a season, a shift, a spark they didn't know they could lose. And in their quietest moments, they still visit the memory of you, just to feel something real again. Sign 11, They avoid talking about what really happened. We just grew apart. It was mutual. It just wasn't the right time. But you know better. So do they. There's a whole chapter they never read out loud, because to speak it would mean facing the depth of what was lost. They simplify the story to survive it. But deep down, they know you weren't just a phase. You weren't just a lesson. You were the mirror, the wound, the truth. And facing that truth still breaks them. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life." They know the pain is still directing theirs, but they're not ready to say it out loud. Because what do you say when the love you lost is still living inside you? And 12, they still speak about love with a cautious heart. Listen carefully. When they talk about love now, it's different. The sparkle is dimmer. The words are more guarded. The hope, distant. They're not bitter. They're not cold. They're just careful. Because when someone's broken your heart without intending to, you learn to protect the parts of yourself that used to leap freely. They talk about relationships like someone who's been burned and still smells the smoke. And if you ever hear them say something like, "There's just one person I don't think I'll ever fully get over," it's you, even if they never say your name, especially if they don't. You left a mark on their soul, not a scar, not a wound, a mark, something that changed the texture of who they are, something that softened them, or hardened them, or woke them up, something that still echoes in the way they touch, trust, or turn away. And no matter who holds their hand now, there's a part of them that's still holding yours, in silence, in dreams, in all the versions of life that never happened. You were the moment they didn't see coming, the goodbye they weren't ready for, the lesson wrapped in love. They may not say it, but their soul still whispers your name in the space between heartbreak and healing. And sometimes that whisper is louder than anything else in their world.